Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm your host Sana Maqbool with you at PTV World. In today's show, we're going to be taking a look at the overall political situation of the country, in which we're going to be understanding what is going on, particularly after the elections earlier this year, and the kind of troubles that the government is currently facing, and much more so in terms of economic and security concerns. There are many that are centered around the political governance between the different provinces and the center, and we've seen that most vividly with the example of the KP Chief Minister and what exactly has been coming in terms of the rhetoric and the narrative from that side towards the center, which supports the earlier viewpoint of the PTI as well and might just be a continuation of that front. But what exactly is the impact of that in terms of the way that the center and the provinces interact with each other, the way that the 18th Amendment actually puts into play, and then of course in terms of taxes and revenue collection and the responsibilities of the provinces towards the governance of the country as well. So we're going to be taking a look at that in terms of how different political parties are looking at the political structure of the country at the moment and interacting with each other on that front. We're also going to be taking a look at the international arena as to what is going on in Gaza. We've seen, of course, that since October, this genocide by Israel continues, and of course on a number of occasions and on multiple platforms, international protests have talked about the thousands of lives that have lost because of this, and what the Israeli occupation forces have been carrying out in terms of the violence on the Palestinians. And of course, we earlier saw that there was a lot of concern in terms of the International Court to actually look into this and talk about genocide, and we saw that coming in from the UN as well. And now we've also seen that the ICC prosecutor has also talked about the involvement of particular leaders, most of course notably the leader of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and others, including Hamas leaders as well, and the defense minister of Israel as well, as to be responsible for a number of crimes that have taken place, and also has talked about the arrest warrants that have been released with regards to this particular issue. We've seen multiple responses to that as well, most notably coming in from the United States, talking about how this is unacceptable that Hamas and Israel are being equated in any form, and that this is not something that the US is approving of or is in concurrence with. So we're going to be taking a look at what that means, especially in terms of the international stance of the current situation, and then what that means in terms of the way that this is going to move forward, and how especially the International Court is going to take it forward. At the end, we're also going to be taking a look at the unfortunate death of Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi in a helicopter crash. And of course, this is something that is indeed tragic and unfortunate. And Pakistan also gives out its own condolences to the bereaved family and to the people of Iran as well. And we're going to be taking a look at that at the end of the show today. For this and more, as always, in the studios, I've been joined by senior analyst Farrukh Pitafi and Raja Faisal. And we've been joined on our first segment online by Uzma Kardar, who's leader Pml-n, and Zulfikar Ali Bader, leader PPP. Thank you very much, gentlemen and ma'am, for joining us and being a part of the discussion. Zulfikar, let me start with you in terms of your analysis of the current scenario of what has been going on, because we've seen the Pakistan People's Party, of course, talk about the importance of provinces, and we've seen historically also the People's Party take a very strong perspective in terms of what is going to be the responsibility and the actions of provincial leaders. And even now we see that that stance is continuing in terms of the way that the party is moving forward with Sindh. But I want to understand what exactly is the analysis in terms of the overall political structure as well, and the way that we've seen the 18th Amendment being put into place, and how exactly do you think it is being done in practice in terms of the various political leaders involved in the provincial runnings, and then of course the way that that actually works with the federal government?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, Sana, for inviting me to your show. My regards to Raja Faisal Saab and Pitafi Saab. Pakistan People's Party and its leadership have been very clear on this stance after the 18th Amendment, that we believe in the provincial autonomy and evolution of power, and we believe that provinces should have their own empowerment program, and they should run their provinces as an independent state. So they should take their share from the federal government, but most of the departments and the ministries should be empowered and independent ministries who should be taking care of the matters in provinces. And looking at People's Party leadership, especially when it comes to Sindh, may have a few reservations on distribution of funds and number of other reservations or number of different issues. But we have never actually challenged the federation, or we have never actually threatened the federation. We have never ever tried to break the relations with the federation, because it's always collaboration between the province and federation is very important, and without the collaboration the province cannot work independently, empowered, uh, without the support of the federal government. So if we look at the KP side, I mean, this is very astonishing, and this is very uh, discouraging that the chief minister, KP, he should have some political education and political behavior, and his attitude should be politically so flexible enough that he should be tolerant and uh, uh, patient enough to deal and discuss the matters with the federal government, and to raise his points rather than threatening the federal government, first going uh, and raising his voice that he is going to attack to the federal capital and he'll conquer the federal capital, and later on he's threatening on number of different things that he will do. And later, recently you have seen that federal government have appointed their own representative as a governor, KP, Mr. Faisal Kareem Kundi. He stopped his entry into the KP house. That he cannot enter into the KP house, Islamabad, and as a as head of the province, if you are being stopped by the chief minister, naive chief minister or inexperienced chief minister, whose political behavior is so intolerant and inflexible that he does not understand that what is it about to be a part of federation, that even they have won the majority in the province, but they should have a working professional working relationship with rest of the provinces, with rest of the political parties, and with the federation. If he has reservation that 200 plus billion rupees is spending on the part of federation that they have to pay to KP province on part of some accounts, then I think the better should be that he should go take time to the with the prime minister. He should go and have a word with a gentle way, with a political behavior, with with a wiser and nicer way. Otherwise, the way he has been acting, it looks like he's a hero of a Punjabi movies. We have seen those Punjabi movies in our childhood, and he's the Gabbar Singh or the Mola Jat of the Punjabi movies. I mean, this is not a behavior. Politics does not allow this kind of behavior, and when you are in such an important position where you have to actually, you are the chief executive of the province, you have to set an example, set traditions, tell people that how can you, yes, how can you make a difference, create an impact in your province. And yes, one more thing, that you should come out and start performing and delivering and compete with your rest of the provinces that you have been initiating in the innovation process of leadership and in the processes of different ministries, where the rest of the provinces are following you. Until and unless you don't have that kind of capacity or capability, I mean, then I think this is the way, this is the style which he have adopted, and this has not been uh, you know, uh, 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 acceptable by the political behavior and political people, the general public, the way he has been, threatening the governor and threatening rest of the political parties and their leadership. I think he will have to change his style, and he should uh, put down hold his horses and talk to the political stakeholders, political forces on a political terms, on negotiate and have a dialogue with a political behavior, not like a the Gabbar Singh or Mola Jat of Punjabi movies. So this is very important in today's world.
Right, absolutely. Ms. Uzma, I also want to understand then there's, of course, a way to deal with such rhetoric as well, and the way that people govern themselves and, of course, their actions. So I want to understand what exactly is the approach that the Pml-n is also taking in terms of the way that they want to proceed forward with different provinces, and then particularly, of course, the KP and the kind of rhetoric that we've seen coming out of there. What exactly is the stance? Is this just something that will not be given a lot of air, or is this something that you think that the center will have to deal with or has repercussions much more than individuals only getting impacted, but in fact the province and the center not being able to actually benefit the people that what they're supposed to do?
Thank you, Sana, for inviting me. I think the KP Chief Minister should show some kind of responsibility and grow up. There is a total lack of maturity there in the way he is behaving. And Mr. Bader rightfully said that it's time he should stop behaving like Maula Jat, and threatening people left, right, and center. That shows that he is not actually fit enough to be the chief executive of that province. But the duality in his behavior is very evident. When he goes to the federal capital and sits with the prime minister and other people there, he somehow, becomes more rational and sits there, listens to everybody, and tries to build a good relationship with the federation. But the moment he enters KP, he goes haywire. He has absolutely no control over himself, and then he is abusing, issuing threats, and the rhetoric you can see. So this dichotomy is very clear, and I think it springs from the kind of training that he gets from Adiala, because this is the kind of behavior we see coming from his leader. His leader did the same in the past. There was I will quote one example that behind closed doors, okay.
Yes.
I will quote one example that behind closed doors, he was even willing to give somebody an extension the third time, literally throwing it at the other person. But for public consumption, after coming, out, the rhetoric was that they are Amir Jafar, they are Mir Sadiq, and they should, only animals are neutral. So, this is the kind of mindset and the brainwashing which is being done right from the top. So if Gandapur knows that if he has to survive in the party, he will have to, continue with this rhetoric. He will have to take the posture of a very belligerent kind of an opponent who's not prepared to be flexible or, accommodate anybody else or sit on the negotiation table. So we will keep on witnessing this for the next couple of years. But I think he himself realizes that in order to survive, he has to, come to terms with a political mindset and a political, way of dealing with the center. Because provinces, they have to, negotiate a lot of ongoing, matters with the center if they want a smooth functioning, bureaucratic functioning, and other very important matters. And this energy issue which has been created, there are two aspects. Number one, okay, if the center owes the province some money, fine, they're looking into it, and I think the Prime Minister has promised that they will cooperate and they will address their grievances. But then at the same time, Awais Laghari, our minister, he especially went to KP and said, look, uh, the maximum electricity being stolen and the theft is, you can see in KP, and we are suffering billions of losses. And these losses have to be borne by the people of Punjab and other provinces. So what is
Absolutely, yes.
why what is there? What, you see, why are they being made to suffer for this and being punished for this? So you have to ensure that people in KP, they pay their bills and they do not steal electricity. That disturbs the whole system of energy, and then the federation has to look at every province and deal with it in a holistic manner. So
Right,
these are
absolutely. And unfortunately, it's the people that always suffer due to these politics. But Faisal, I also want to understand, given that, of course, what Ms. Uzma has also pointed out in terms of the way that we have seen the interactions happen with the leadership at the center and, of course, differently in the province as well. And we also understand that this is also stemming from the kind of rhetoric that the Pitafi previously also had and what the previous leaders have also had. So it is understandable when we take a look at political rhetoric in terms of the narrative of a political party, but is this justified when the party representatives are in positions of power and they're decision makers and influencers and they can make a difference and they have to also be answerable or accountable in terms of what they've done for their own people as well and the province that they're responsible for? Because we can, of course, argue that it's perhaps in the favor of a certain leader to stick to a political stance, but does that work in this case as well, especially when it's affecting the people of the province?
Sana, obviously, yes, if it affects, and sadly, of course, we, when we talk about the democracies, I mean, the ideal democracy is that whatever the stance you have overall, you always be clearer about it in front of the whole public, the masses. I mean, they should know where do you stand. But of course, as Uzma Sahiba rightly pointed out, that whenever CM of KPK, he's meeting with the Prime Minister, he comes to federal and he comes to meet him, and in other of the meetings, he's behaving as a sane politician must do, and I think that's how it should be. But of course, as soon as he reaches back to his own constituency, or I must say his own capital of the province, he of course does the political stance, and that political stance of course is on the basis of the kind of 2 years of political struggle they have gone through, and of course I think he wants to maintain that there, and that's how he's behaving when he's in public. But like I said, it's just the matter of if he's just being delivering rhetoric, then that shouldn't be taken serious at all, because right now, of course, he's CM of one of the important provinces of Pakistan, and whatever he's saying in the public sermons or while he's addressing to his people in KP, his statements shouldn't be taken seriously at all, because he himself would know that whenever he's in the center talking about the matters he has to deal, I think he's sane enough to know that the population of KP is of course relying on him, and his decisions, every little decision would be affecting the population at large in the province. And of course, we shouldn't be forgetting that the Punjab government, it is of course largest province of Pakistan, and half of the population of Pakistan is actually the Punjab province. In that province, I mean, central government, it is having a provincial government there as well, and we know that of course Uzma Sahiba herself represents that government, and we know that all of the provinces, they rely on each other's trade, and of course the daily trade is taking place. In that context, if the actions which are being in the speeches again and again highlighted by the CM of KP, if they are taken, then of course he would be facing a sort of a reaction as well from the other provinces, especially Punjab. And Punjab is having the main key trade between both of the provinces is between Punjab and KP. And in that context, we will be seeing that there will be a reaction from the largest province in terms of population, which is Punjab, and in that context, of course, there will be problems for CM KP. And I don't believe this, that if he knows and still is doing whatever he is doing, and if he is so serious about it, I think he needs to fix his course. And as Zulfikar Saab rightly pointed out, that if he is serious, then he is not fit enough for the job, and if he is not fit enough for the job, then the party itself should be, of course, thinking in the larger interest of the province itself, and they should come up with a different name to rule over KP, because it's not about election slogans, or it's not about politics anymore. He is not only CM of the people who voted for him, but he is CM of the people who did not vote for him in the province. So at this hour, of course, he should be rational enough when he is talking about anything, and waging a war against federal in a country like Pakistan, where of course there are challenges in terms of security, challenges in terms of economy. In all of these challenges, one should be sane enough.
Right. Farrukh, of course, we talk a lot about provincial autonomy, and of course, the 18th Amendment has historically played a very important role in Pakistan. But I want to understand, given the way that we have seen the challenges that the country is currently facing, and if we take what is going on and keep as an example of what is going on, what exactly do you think is at play here in terms of the way that the provinces or the leaders of the different provinces seem to be moving ahead of what perhaps is a matter of capacity, or as a matter of will, or what their responsibilities are? Because it seems that there are, of course, a lot of actions that need to be taken by the provincial leaders as well, but that maybe is in the background, and what remains on the front is only remembered at whatever is their due right, or whatever it is that they can actually get away with. How do you see that the provinces are making use or applying the 18th Amendment, and especially in this particular case, how is that reflecting in terms of the serious problems that we have, such as economic reform, such as tax revenue, such as things that the provincial leadership also need to step up with?
All right, Sana, thank you very much for the question. Although my main concern remains that when it comes to me, you change the paper. But I'm going to try to actually attempt it. Earlier, my Bader Sahab was saying that perhaps the CM is inspired by Punjabi cinema. I think he hasn't seen Pashto cinema. There is enough action there as well, or for that matter, rage. We can actually, Pakistan is a federation, right? So federating units have some level of autonomy, and of course that can cause some friction. But these issues have been around for quite some time. Should we actually attribute what is happening right now to the conflicts of provinces, or should we actually look at the character of a political party? Because when we were talking about all this scenes from 2016 were flashing before my eyes when Parvez Khattak used to be the Chief Minister of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and he was actually breaking all the barricades. He was actually trying to reach Islamabad, and there was this massive shelling and all, and eventually he had to retreat to Sawabi. And at that time, people started saying, particularly in the WhatsApp University that is founded by PTI, or supported by PTI, that this might be the end of federation or something of that sort. For a party that calls itself for patriots, and which actually does politics on the basis of nationalism, when it suits them, they immediately, throw the Federation of Pakistan under the bus. And this has been happening repeatedly. I mean, remember when the leader of PTI was in Lahore, and there he had actually called in security from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and also from Gilgit-Baltistan, and the way it was being used was really worrying. Similarly, it has been happening repeatedly. Now, the character of the party. The problem that you have to actually witness is that Badr Sahib just mentioned the new governor of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. So what happens, I'm sure that there must be many other prospects for that post within People's Party. But once a name has been decided, other people actually quit bickering, and they could go back to their lives. This does not happen in PTI. What PTI follows, and of course it is encouraged by the central leadership, is called the Colosseum pattern, where everybody fights everybody. And if one person gets to one position, it causes many jealousies, and those people immediately start acting out to ensure that that person has been dragged down. So when Chief Minister Khyber Pakhtunkhwa was appointed, at that time we know that at least there were few people who were not happy, and they immediately, because those people particularly had risen to the post of Speaker, for that matter, Speaker of National Assembly for PTI stint, those people immediately started putting pressure and started using emotive words. So immediately what happens? Because the PTI leader hasn't been able to understand that what they did in the past 2 years wasn't essentially a struggle, as was being put by my brother here, but it was essentially digging a hole for yourself. And the first principle of any hole that you find yourself in is to stop digging. They haven't stopped digging, right? They keep on complicating situation, and they will continue to do it. Remember, when IMF deal was taking place, the previous one, we heard their own finance minister, or former finance minister, and two finance ministers of the provinces that they controlled, how to sabotage the deal. So what are you going to say about that? Does it look like any kind of patriotism to you? No, it doesn't. So right now whatever is happening is pure and simple political point scoring. It might actually play out and it might create some drama, but in the end I believe that the Federation of Pakistan is stronger than one political party or its ability to sabotage peace of mind of people. I mean, if we survived May 9th, we can survive a lot of other things.
Absolutely. Badr Sahab, given the way that different political parties are interacting with each other, we of course have seen since the elections that different political parties of course have their own place in the current political setup, and the PPP has had a stance of supporting the government wherever it believes with their principles, and then of course providing their own feedback whatever it does not. But I also want to understand the role that the PTI can play currently with regards to the way that different political parties interact with each other, including of course the former PTI and other parties, with regards to the way that these individuals can actually work together and then translate that into the actions of the centre and the provinces and others, and the way that different political parties are part of the parliament. What exactly is the PPP stance on the matter, the contribution that they can make in this?
And Zulfikar Sahab, if you can allow me as well, of course we know that your party is the party that is in the alliance with the government. In that context, of course, your party has quite a lot of good names who have an excellent outreach to the KPCM or the other leaders of PTI. Don't you think that it's the right time that People's Party can extend a hand of sort of negotiations on behalf of the government, so that the political temperature can go down a bit. I'm obviously, talking about yourself, and then Nadeem Afzal Chand, and then if I talk about Kaira Saab as well, he's at very good length with all of these leaders.
Faisal Saab, very kind of you to say these words. The Pakistan People's Party is very clear. Pakistan People's Party is very flexible party, and its leadership have a lot of patience and tolerance, and they believe in dialogue. They believe in negotiating. They believe that we should have a communication, and we should cover the gap of communication. So within the parliament, there are a number of parties, and a lot of our parliamentarians and the people sitting in the government, they have good relations with the parliamentarians in opposition, and they talk, they joke around, they chit chat with each other during the break time, namaz time, or before coming into the session. They have a good relation. Pakistan People's Party is ever ready and would definitely want to create an impact for the sake of Pakistan, for the sake of people of Pakistan, and which definitely plays an important role. But it's very important the other side, even though some people who are sitting in the government in province, in KP, they may be in talking terms with some of the leaders of our party and the ruling party, because we are the supporters of the ruling party, but we haven't joined the cabinet. So having said that, but still we will be the supporters, and we will support, and we will support, and we will be all out to do our role to bring all the stakeholders, political forces, political parties on board, and let them have a word, and they cover up their differences. Whatever role Pakistan People's Party feel, they will play in the coming future. But right now, Pakistan People's Party can play a very important role, but it's very important, and it's, that the other party, their leadership have to understand this thing, that they should allow their political, the KP chief, the ministers, and the people who matter in their party, that they should come on the table and talk things out with the ruling party and with all the political parties. So things should be sorted out. Because if the leader is not willing to talk, and he is not flexible enough to allow their people, because that comes with the political maturity, and that political maturity comes with the passage of time, with the political training. The people, when they lack the political maturity, that means they lack the political education, political training. So that is very important, because otherwise, Pakistan People's Party would have played its role long time back, because we do have good friends in other parties as well in KP, but we will be only able to play a role once they will be willing to come and sit on the table. Once they are not coming on the table, they do not want to talk to any party within the government or supporting the government, that means they have their own priorities, their own agenda, their own political stunt to play within the public in order to, destabilize the economy and the political stability of Pakistan. This is what I can, analyze and see from their political behavior. Otherwise, this would have been, we would have put our egos aside, right, and would have, negotiated and flexible enough to, do some kind of give and take and sort out the things. It's not a big deal, but there has to be a political, motive, political behavior, education, training, in order to sit and have a political dialogue to sort out the issues within Pakistan. Because all the political, this is the need of the hour from the last 2 years, and right now is the same even after the elections. All the political forces, political parties, they have to sit together to sort out the issues, to bring economic and
But that's extremely important, and I want to take Ms. Uzma's opinion on that as well, given, of course, what the PML-n stance on the matter is. And I understand that when we talk about the government and the different political parties, even in the opposition, of course, their support or their active role is extremely important. But what is the PML-n stance on the other political parties as well, besides the PP and, of course, the former PTI as well, in terms of engaging with them within the parliament as well? And I understand that a lot of the onus may be on those parties themselves to step forward as well. But, of course, in scenarios that that's not happening, what is the PML-n stance on this matter? Will it be ignored and just continued till it actually causes a ruckus? Because at the moment, maybe things are not at that point, but they could potentially lead up to that. So is that the strategy in terms of what the current scenarios are, that we're going to deal with it when the time comes, or is there some sort of engagement already happening?
Sana, PML-n leadership has always spoken about the Charter of Democracy and the Charter of Economy. If you heard Mia Mohammad Nawaz Sharif's speech yesterday, he again, quoted the example of going himself to Banigala and inviting Imran Khan to sit with him and resolve all differences and move ahead for the betterment of the people and the progress of the country. And what did Imran Khan say in return? He said, okay, why don't you get my road constructed? And this is exactly, the kind of knee-jerk reaction which you would expect from a politician like Imran Khan, because the maturity is certainly not there. And Mia Mohammad Nawaz Sharif, when he came back, he got the road made, but then after that, there was absolutely no political reciprocation from the side of the PTI chief. Now, the problem is that the major failure for Imran Khan in the last tenure was that he did not give respect to the mandate of any other party sitting in the parliament. He refused to even talk to them or sit in the meeting where all the other leadership of different parties was there. And as a result, he got alienated. And this is why he was ousted. Nobody wanted him in the parliament. He lost support. And the thing is that in his book, it is my way or the highway. And this is what he has actually done, created polarization from the top cadres right down to the grassroots level. He has divided the nation. Right. He has not brought them together. I personally feel that it is about time they make Pakistan their red line. Forget about the political differences. Now the election is over and done with. They are sitting in all 4 provinces. They have representation in all the provinces and the center, and they're part of the system. They should now, sit in the parliament and act like a strong opposition and get things done.
Absolutely, point taken,
This is the role, but the problem is that there is something wrong with the gentleman sitting in Adiala, because he thinks that he is the end all and be all of everything.
That's all we have time for, but thank you so much for your point. Thank you, Ms. Uzma, and thank you, Zulfikar for joining us and being a part of the discussion. Unfortunately, that's all that we have time for, and we have a lot more to cover as well. We're going to look at what is happening in Gaza, Faisal, and I want your take on it, especially in terms of what the ICC has now taken up in terms of the arrest warrants that have come forward with Benjamin Netanyahu, the defense minister, and including Hamas leaders as well. What exactly do you think will come out of it? While many are, of course, celebrating this as a good sign in terms of where this is going and moving towards accountability, but others, of course, including the US leadership, seems to be contrary to the sentiment and claiming, of course, that Hamas and Israel should never be equated. What is your stance on this?
I mean, Sana, obviously so far the kind of statements which were coming out from Israel itself, they are simply denying the ruling by, of course, ICC, and they believe that they have an option to, of course, seek help from their allies in the Western world, and they are not going to accept this kind of decision. They are only willing to accept the decision which is suitable to them. And first of all, we know that the kind of a case which was put against them, obviously on the basis of the genocide which they are actually committing in Gaza, they simply at that time they said we don't give any word to ICC, and since the day one they have been maintaining this stance, because they knew that any sane probe which is taken by ICC, this was the ultimate decision which has come today. And I think ICC was fair enough in terms of bringing this decision before us. And in this decision, they not only are seeking the arrest warrants for Netanyahu, but of course they are seeking the arrest warrants for the defense minister Gallant as well. And obviously along with that, they are seeking the arrest warrants for the leadership of Hamas as well, because it is not about one party, it is about any party which is involved in the war that has resulted in nearly 35,000 known people who have lost their lives, and there are many thousands who are still missing in the war, and they are being presumed as dead, because building after building, I mean, there is 80% of Gaza, it's in the ruins. I mean, the kind of pictures coming from Gaza right now, the 80% of the Gaza, it feels as if sometimes, few centuries ago somebody used to live there, and there was no chance that somebody could live here anymore. And that is what the Israeli bombs they have done, and the bombs which were actually given to Israel by its ally countries, that still it is seeking help from in terms of ICC as well, and they are seeking straight away, they are seeking the disbandment of ICC when ICC is actually going to issue the arrest warrant.
Right, and I want to understand that further, Farrukh, especially in terms of the US stance on the matter. How much will that actually impact the way that this will proceed? Because while the ICC has taken this stance, it seems that there is, of course, a lot of play in terms of what different decision makers, particularly the US leadership, has to say about the matter and the influence that they can exert.
Right. First of all, I just wanted to put everything in perspective. This is not clearly a decision by ICC.
Yeah.
It is the prosecutor's, request for warrants for these people. So it still has to go through the vetting process. But that did not stop the Americans from coming out in support of Israel. And they actually talked about not equating, Hamas with Israel. Of course, they are right. How can you compare the two? Hamas killed 1,100 people? How many did Israel kill? So who is the bigger criminal here?
Yeah.
Right? The second thing that I have to actually point out is that this saying that if you kill a few people, you are a mass murderer. If you kill thousands, you become a statesman.
Yeah.
So whatever is happening in Israel right now is a shame, and I think that it is shameful for all the liberal democracies that keep on talking about their value system, particularly human rights. Now they also created the UN systems, and they also actually came up with the idea of ICC and ICJ and everything of that sort. But in the end, all these forces end up actually undermining those very institutions, because they have the selective application of those principles. Those principles actually go to sleep when it comes to invasion of Iraq, when it comes to invasion of Syria for that matter, or many other places. And same goes for Israel and its hunting ground in Palestine. So that will continue. I do believe in what Martin Luther King actually said about arc of moral universe being long, but it bends in the, in favor of justice. But the concern right now is, are the people who are being treated as hunting animals in a zoo, are they going to continue to suffer till the time we wait for that arc of model universe to actually bend somewhere?
That's true. That is, of course.
And by the way, let me also clarify one point. Even if ICC issues its warrants, remember there is similar warrants for President Putin.
Yeah.
So that doesn't
absolutely
actually change
exactly. Yeah. But thank you for that, and that's of course something that we hope that we eventually see and sooner in terms of the justice that needs to be done and the suffering that needs to end. But of course, we'll see how this goes forward. We also, of course, want to comment on the unfortunate death of President Ibrahim Raisi of Iran and the members of his entourage in a helicopter crash. Pakistan, of course, extends its condolences to the family and the nation of Iran, and we, of course, look forward to the independent investigation into the matter and to making sure, of course, that whoever is responsible behind this is brought to task. And so Pakistan, of course, extends its support to Iran in this matter. That's all that we have from the debate at the moment. Thank you, Farrukh. Thank you, Faisal, for being part of the debate. It's something that brings us to the end of our discussions as to what is going on, particularly in the political arena, both in Pakistan and the international politics as well. And we'll come back with more. That's all from today. We'll now see you tomorrow.